As we approach the end of the year, it's time to start planning your taxes, or at least that's what I do. I don't like any big surprises in the new year, especially when it's a big tax bill, so I'll be focusing a few minutes just on how you can plan from now to reduce your taxes. I made this video assuming you already know the basics of Canadian tax. If you want a brief overview, check out this video I made on Canadian taxes for beginners. I've also made a free ebook breaking down Canadian finance for beginners. I'll leave a link if you want to sign up. Also, shout out to Black Friday deals where I bought this new lens. You'll notice I'm a little more zoomed in. Play around with the light. Let me know if it looks good. It was expensive. First up, this one might seem obvious, but many people do forget. Contribute to your RRSP. I made an RRSP basics video here, and while I recommend investing in your RRSP monthly, sometimes we forget, sometimes we never set it up in the first place. Well, this is your reminder. You can open an RRSP with Questrade, Wealthsimple, or just your normal everyday bank like TD or RBC. Remember, contributing cash into your RRSP does reduce your tax payable, but that doesn't mean you're investing. You have to contribute cash and then actually invest it. I made a bunch of videos recommending what to invest in. This one is the most recent. So you're contributing to your RRSP. If you make $80,000 a year, you might be paying, let's say, 35% tax. So $10,000 will probably save you $3,500 in tax, which is huge. If you're wondering whether to open an RRSP or a TFSA, my personal limit is $80,000 per year. If you make $80,000 or more, I would contribute to an RRSP. If you make less, I would do a TFSA first, max it out, then any excess I would do RRSP. Second on the list, tax loss harvesting. This simply means selling any losing investments you have. If you have a stock that is losing money, you don't think it'll ever recover, or if you just want to use the cash somewhere else, I would sell it at a loss. This might hurt, but there are some tax benefits. You can use that capital loss to offset any capital gains. Selling stocks are capital in nature, which means you can only apply the capital loss against any capital gains. If you don't have any capital gains this year, the CRA lets you carry it back 3 years. You can carry back, if you had capital gains within the last 3 years, you can carry it back to reduce previous year's capital gains and get money back, which is great. Also, if you've never had any capital gains, you can carry the loss forward to reduce any future taxes. Keep in mind, some people try to game the system. If you sell the stock on December 20th to get the capital loss and then buy it back January 1st, there's actually a CRA rule called the stop loss or superficial loss. If you sell a stock to use a capital loss, you can't buy it back within 30 days or the loss is denied. It's to stop people from gaming the system. Just wait 31 days and you're fine. Also, tax loss harvesting only works in taxable accounts like a margin account or a cash account. Do not do this in a TFSA, RRSP, or RESP. There is zero benefit to doing this. Those are tax advantaged accounts. Third recommendation is not really saving you money overall, but it is saving you tax. Charitable donations usually provide like a 40-45% benefit. An example, if you donate $1,000 and get a tax slip with proof, you can get a huge tax deduction from the government, around $450 or $400, depending on which province. So you're indirectly only donating $550, but providing someone with a $1,000 benefit. Because of my audit experience having audited large charities, I do not donate to charities anymore since I see what happens with the money. Personally, I donate to specific people that are in need and get zero tax slips or benefits, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to get a benefit. Find a righteous cause, find a charity near and dear to your heart, make a donation and get a small tax kickback from the CRA. This one isn't really a tax saving recommendation, but just something I felt was important. The staycation credit is no longer available for 2023 and beyond. In Ontario in 2022, if you went on a vacation within the province, you got a 20% credit of what you spent, but that was 1 year only and is no longer applicable. But one credit that isn't going away for 2023 is the work from home tax deduction. During the pandemic, most people were working from home, so the government provided a little tax benefit without needing your employer to sign anything. Any Canadian that worked from home for 50% of the time for 4 consecutive weeks can claim up to $500 deduction. This is called the flat rate method. If you wanted to claim more, you can use the detailed method, and you'll need your employer to sign a T2200 form, and you'll need to provide receipts. Now on to the next topic on the list. It's a reminder to keep your receipts. I can't tell you how many friends tell me they want to claim certain expenses but tossed or lost the receipts. In Canada, you can deduct medical expenses after a certain threshold, but you need to prove, you need to have proof, you need the receipts. If you're self-employed, you have to drive to various clients' offices, you need to log your driving, you need to log your kilometers. Keep track of the kilometers you've been driving because you might have to prove anything that's been work versus personal if you use a car. You'll also need to keep track of your car expenses like gas, insurance, and maintenance. You have to prove to the CRA, you have to prove everything you have on your tax return if you ever get audited. So just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Fifth or sixth on the list is the Canadian employment amount. Many people don't know about this. If you earned more than $35,000 in employment income, not self-employment income, you can claim a non-refundable tax credit for any work-related expenses you purchase, like a uniform, computer, or office supplies. The maximum benefit is approximately $1,368 this year, I believe. Lastly, trying to keep this video short, I actually don't know how long it is, you can deduct certain expenses incurred to earn income. An example, if you have a line of credit that you use to invest, you can deduct the interest on that line of credit. There's a longer topic called the Smith maneuver that I'll need to cover in another video, but the gist of this topic is there's a line item called carrying charges. If you incurred interest to invest, you can expense it. However, the investment has to be in a taxable account. You can't deduct carrying charges or interest on an investment that is tax sheltered. The CRA doesn't want you double dipping in tax savings, which makes sense for the most part. You know what? One more topic. This isn't related to tax saving, but this is more tax planning. If you got a bonus from your employer within the first 60 days of 2024, you can deposit that bonus into your RRSP, and you have the option to carry that contribution back last year to 2023 and use it to reduce your 2023 taxes. My recommendation is still to use your bonus to increase your RRSP. However, I wouldn't carry it back. The assumption is you'll get the same or higher bonus every year forever, or you'll get hit with a big tax bill one year. Think of it this way. You got a 2023 bonus, but you got paid in 2024. Our tax system is cash-based. You got a bonus in 2024, therefore you're taxed in 2024. But wait, you're carrying that bonus back to 2023. That means you'll get a tax benefit last year, but you're getting taxed this year. This process only works if you continually get a bonus and you carry it back every year forever, or you'll get a random tax bill like my colleague did one day for like $5,000 and wonder what happened. You got a bonus and you didn't carry it back, or you didn't get a bonus that year. Long story short, don't carry it back. That's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments and tune into the next one.